Welcome to the Sassy CEO podcast. I'm Paula Bailey, your host, and in this episode, it is all around behind the scenes of the Sassy CEO collective, masterminding and strategic planning. Today is all around day 2. This is the second episode in this particular mini series. I spoke about the strategic planning last week. This week, we're talking all masterminding. If you've never heard of masterminding or you've heard about it, but you're not quite sure, in this episode, I go through all of what it means to truly mastermind, because I think it is a term that's a little bit thrown around a little bit loosely. And so let's go through what it actually means, how it can help you find great solutions in your business. And I also go through how we run one so that you can see what you need to do in terms of the structuring of a mastermind session and how that actually helps a business owner move forward. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it and masterminding with the Sassy CEO. So here we are, day 2 of the Sassy CEO Collective Masterminding and Strategic Planning event. This is the second part of this particular series. Last episode, I chatted about what we did on day 1, which is all around strategic planning. And we then come in on day 2 and we bring it all together by everyone getting an opportunity to mastermind their biggest, strategic issue. I really love talking about the masterminding process, because I think the term mastermind is used so loosely, if I could say that, out in I think the business space and in marketing land. And there is something really special about true masterminding. If you think about masterminding, and if you know it being referenced in the book Think and Grow Rich, if you've ever read that, if you haven't, you should really check that book out as a whole. It's a great book to listen to or read, depending on whether you like audiobooks or reading. But Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he actually speaks about masterminding and coming together with other business owners to come together and really work on your businesses. And that's the concept that's happening here on day 2, where we look at the biggest strategic issues and come together as a group using all our skill sets, all our knowledge to find great solutions. And I'm really passionate about this because no one is the same, even though you might have 2 business owners that can be in a similar industry, or they could, work in a similar marketplace. Every business, every individual is exactly that. And I really love to honor the individual who's running and creating the business, as well as the business, the marketplace, the model. It's just so important. So I really hate whole, cookie cutter approaches. Yes, there are certain strategies and rules about business that can apply, but I am a big fan of really going through this process to find great solutions that really suit that particular business owner and the situation at hand. So to give you a bit of a roundup of what actually happens, we all come together on tables or a table, and each business owner gets an opportunity to actually showcase or talk about what the strategic issue is for them. And so what we do, if you wanted to do something like this for yourself, is everyone gets exactly the same time. So it's very, very fair across the board. And the way I set it up is everyone gets an opportunity to present the strategic issue. So they might need to give a bit of background on the business, and then actually talk about the problem that is currently happening, because often people at the table will need to be filled in to really understand where you're coming from. And then the really cool part is, after that, each person at the table actively contributes by asking questions, prodding the information, prodding that business owner for a little bit more information, and just really starting to, start up a very high quality conversation around what is happening, to really help the business owners start to see maybe solutions that they had never seen. And what I really love about this, I set this up in a very specific ways, and I always preface it by talking about how, first of all, we're very conscious of not letting ego come into play, and we talk about how ego can show up, because ego shows up a lot in day to day, even when we're in business, being defensive, thinking that you're right, not being open to other solutions. I mean, there's so many different ways: being defensive, feeling like you're being triggered, starting to get angry, or all that sort of stuff that can be symptoms and signs of of ego coming into play, and it really doesn't serve us when we truly are wanting to enter a different frequency to find a better solution. Because I genuinely believe that there is a solution for every problem. If there is a problem, there must be an equal and opposite end of the spectrum, meaning that there's a solution. And so we're very, very conscious in the way that we set that table up. Tables are very clear and clean. The room is very clear and clean, so we're free of chaos in our environment. So we have that space to think, and we have that space to really connect as business owners. Everyone gets an opportunity to mastermind, and everyone gets an opportunity. We have one person always scribing and taking down all those, little bits and pieces, because people are talking, and sometimes that tiny little piece of gold nugget might get lost as a business owner is consciously sort of processing and thinking all about the ideas and the suggestions that are being put forward. They also have an opportunity to record. It's always such an important part, I think, to when you're going through a process like that, to record your session so that you can play it back later on, because you'd be amazed at what sort of gold you might get later on. And then, to be able to walk away with a piece of paper that has all the suggestions and the solutions is really, really valuable. The other thing is everyone speaking, and listening to one another, so we don't have more than one person speaking at any given time, and really practicing the art of listening and understanding and taking on board other people's opinions. I think it's such a lost art. If it was an art that we ever learnt in the first place, we tend to talk over people, or we don't really open our ears and we don't really listen. So it's something that we're actively doing to not only help others find solutions, but to also then receive the solutions and the gold for ourselves. It really is a two-way street, and I'm constantly reminding all our collective clients around receiving and giving, and turning up in equal measure on both sides of the coin, so to speak. So once we've gone through that part of the process, then we get to the really cool part where we find parts of a solution or a full solution to help that business owner move forward. And we set up an action plan, because without that, it can be very easy, sort of like, I guess, human nature sometimes to hide, especially if you've been masterminding, which is most of the time something that can be a little bit uncomfortable. If you're stuck on something, it's fair to say that you've probably something within that problem that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. And so we give that business owner some clear action steps, usually 3 to 5 action steps at the most, with dates, so that they can go away and literally leave the room and go, right, I'm going to go do 1, 2, 3 by this date, moving the needle forward in a big way on that particular issue. It's just this complete game changing for the business. It's such a magic process. If you're thinking about organizing one of those, like having like-minded people on the table is really, really important. So if you're wanting to do that, make sure that you're inviting like-minded people, sometimes across different industries is an amazing thing to do. If you tend to sort of stick with people in similar industries or similar business models to you, it's great to have diversification across the table. But I think like-minded individuals is one of the most important things there, so that you're all on the same page and wanting to work towards combined goals with the same levels of dedication, I guess. So doing that, making sure that you do have people who take responsibility for certain roles within the mastermind situation. So whether that's someone who has to keep the time to ensure that everyone's getting equal time, and that the actual sections of masterminding, because I did go through the different phases of someone's mastermind session, are being adhered to, and that action plans are being set up. So it's really important to have a clear leader in the masterminding space to make sure that that can happen, because it's so easy to go off on a tangent and get caught up in it, and all of a sudden and you're an hour in, and the person before and you got 20 minutes or something along those lines, or there wasn't any clear action plan. So being really clear on the outcome, that by the end of everyone's session, we're going to have some clear solutions and a clear action plan for that person to start taking physical steps towards really moving past that sticking point in their business and moving forward. Such a magical process. If you've never been involved in something like that, I highly recommend it for your business. Getting the opportunity to have other people really help you and support you and look in and find solutions. I'd be solution orientated. I believe there's solutions for everything. If you're feeling stuck, if you feel like there's lots of sticking points in business, changing up your environment, changing up how you're planning and how you are bringing things to fruition, how you're making decisions, could be the difference between being exactly where you are right now in 12 months' time, or worse still, being behind and actually moving forward towards your goals, towards what you actually want. So there you go. I never intended for this to be an uber long episode of the Sassy CEO podcast, but I was really, really inspired to show a little bit behind the scenes. I've never really done that. I don't know why I've never thought to do that. It's probably just a developmental thing for me as well. I've been so dedicated and so focused on what I was doing with clients that I didn't really think to do that. It's just part of where I was at. And I think it's fine to own where you're at, but it's also then all our jobs to really be very conscious of how we are developing ourselves within our business and how we're developing as leaders and how we're changing our behaviors, changing how we're showing up to really create change, not only within our business, but change for our clients and change across the board for our communities as well. So a wrap up of the mastermind. I'd love to hear, have you masterminded before, or is it something that you'd be interested in doing? Please make sure you hit us up. You can follow us at the Sassy CEO across Instagram, across Facebook. All our contact details are on the website at sassyceo.com.au. I'd love to hear from you here if you've had the pleasure of being involved in the masterminding process. And if you haven't, really do check out that book, Think and Grow Rich. It really is a great read, and there's so much to learn above and beyond the process of masterminding. It's a really great classic, I'd say. So thank you so much once again for tuning in. I think I will, as the quarters roll on, continue to record these and show more and more behind the scenes and share with you as much as I can so that you can play along at home. Don't forget, you can be part of our Facebook group at the Sassy CEO Society. Come and check us out on Facebook. We'd love to have you be part of our high vibrant community so we can help you grow your client business. But until our next episode, I can't wait to catch you then. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share it with other amazing women in business. We'd love to share the love and help them grow their businesses too. So if you know anyone who would benefit from listening to this, I would love it if you could share. Until next time, peace.